Hello, inner shifters, how you doing? Your host, Sophia here. Let's unpack the beautiful, often overlooked magic that lives inside the first thing on every nutrition label: serving size and servings per container. I know, on the surface, it doesn't exactly sound like the juiciest topic. But hang tight, because this little line at the top, it's the key to unlocking not only how we nourish our bodies, but how we relate to food with honesty, freedom, and presence. So here's the scene: you're at home, late night, watching a show, maybe feeling a little snacky. You grab a bag of something crunchy, a handful turns into a few more, which turns into oops. That's the bottom of the bag. Then curiosity hits and you turn the bag around, glance at the nutrition label and think, well, 160 calories, not too bad. But wait, then your eyes snag on that quiet little line up top: servings per container, 4. And suddenly, that not too bad moment turns into, oh, I just ate over 500 calories without even realizing it. That right there is why this one line, serving size and servings per container, is such a game changer. It's not about restriction, it's about clarity. About understanding what's actually in front of you so that you can make choices from a place of truth, not guesswork. I remember when my friend Clara, yes, our beautifully self-aware soul, started learning about nutrition. She wasn't trying to diet or change her body. She just wanted to feel better, more energized, less foggy. She started flipping over packages and paying attention to those lines at the top. And she told me one day, I used to think I was eating pretty healthy, but it turns out I just wasn't reading the map. Oh, that's how she described it: the serving size as a map. It's what gives context to everything else on the label: the calories, the sugar, the protein. Without that anchor, the rest is just numbers floating in space. And here's what's wild: a lot of us think we know what a serving looks like. But in reality, our mental portion calibrator is usually way off. Let's take breakfast cereal, for instance. You pour it in a bowl until it looks right. Maybe it's a standard-sized bowl. Maybe it's the one you really love with the wide sides and calming blue glaze. But that serving you poured, it might be double or even triple what the label says. The actual serving size might be 3/4 cup, or 1 cup, way less than what that bowl's capable of holding. And when the nutrition info says 110 calories per serving, but you just served yourself 2 or 5 servings without realizing it, well, now we're in a whole different conversation. Oh, the good news, there's zero shame in that. It's not about guilt, it's about data. It's about knowing, and from that knowing, choosing with full awareness. I want to highlight a study that still sticks with me. It was conducted at Cornell University's Food and Brand Lab, and it revealed something both fascinating and telling. People consistently underestimate how much they're eating when portions are large or packaging is ambiguous. Even trained dietitians underestimated calories by up to 40% when presented with oversized restaurant servings. 40%, that's not a small margin. That's a whole meal's worth of energy if you're not tuned in. That's why the serving size on the label is so powerful. Because it recenters your perspective. You're no longer eating based on what looks normal or what a restaurant tells you is standard. You're eating based on what's been researched, measured, and defined as a consistent unit. That little line becomes your translator. It says, hey, here's what all these numbers mean if you're eating this much. And here, where it gets fun, because this doesn't mean you have to whip out measuring cups every meal or live by strict rules. Not at all, it just means you start building that internal compass. You start knowing, intuitively, what a serving of peanut butter or pasta or almonds actually looks like, not the heaping scoop that feels right, but the mindful portion that fuels you without tipping the scales into sluggishness. Clara had this turning point when she started weighing out her breakfast granola one morning, not to diet, but just to learn. She poured what she normally would into her bowl, then measured it. It was almost 3 servings. No wonder I always feel full and tired after breakfast. She laughed. I thought I was doing something healthy, but I was drowning it in excess. Oh, and here's the thing, that serving size info, it's not here to shame your choices. It's here to contextualize them. If you see a serving as a half cup and you want a full cup, beautiful. You just doubled the numbers on the label and made that choice with clarity. Because food isn't just nutrition, it's emotional, social, cultural. We eat for fuel, yes, but we also eat to celebrate, to comfort, to connect. And understanding serving sizes doesn't rob that experience, it deepens it. It allows you to fully inhabit your choices instead of grazing through them in a fog. Another thing to watch, servings per container. That one trips people up constantly, especially with things like drinks. You grab a bottle of juice that looks single serve, chug the whole thing, and later realize the label was quoting calories and sugar per 8 Oz. But the bottle holds 20 ounces, yikes. You just consumed over double what you thought. Again, it's not about judgment, it's about visibility. You can't course correct something you can't see. Now this awareness, it becomes a form of self-respect. You're saying, I care enough about my body to read the fine print. Not so I can restrict, but so I can respond to what I need. And the most beautiful shift is when this stops feeling like effort and starts becoming second nature. When Clara and I talked a few months after her label learning journey began, she said, "It's weird, I don't even think about it now. I just know how much feels good. Not too much, not too little. I trust myself more. My hunger signals aren't yelling at me anymore." That's what it's all about. Building that kind of relationship with food. One where knowledge becomes intuitive. Where you don't need a calculator at dinner, but you're equipped with wisdom. Where serving size doesn't mean control, it means connection. And connection, my friend, is everything. It's how we come home to ourselves. It's how we care deeply for the body that carries us. It's how we move from autopilot to alignment. So the next time you pick something up at the store, take a second, check that top line. Ask yourself, if I eat the whole thing, how many servings is that? How does that feel in my body? What's a choice here that honors both joy and nourishment? There's no right answer, just honest ones. And I'll be right here, cheering on every bite you take with intention and hearts. Once you understand calories and nutrient density, you stop being fooled by flashy labels and start nourishing your body like the beautiful, complex, brilliant system that it is. Let's start at the top. Calories get a bad rap, don't they? Somewhere along the way we decided they were the villains in every food story, like they only exist to sabotage us. But a calorie, it's just a unit of energy. It's literally how our bodies fuel every breath, every heartbeat, every brilliant idea. The problem isn't calories, it's that we often don't know what they're bringing with them. That's where nutrient density comes in. That's the real question. For every calorie I eat, what am I getting in return? Let me paint you a picture. You're choosing between a 200-calorie snack. Option 1, a packaged cupcake. Option 2, a bowl with Greek yogurt, berries, and a handful of walnuts. Both around the same calories. But the cupcake, it brings sugar, saturated fat, maybe some refined flour. The yogurt bowl, it brings protein, fiber, omega-3 antioxidants, probiotics. One leaves you tired and jittery in an hour. The other stabilizes your blood sugar, supports your gut, and keeps you full until lunch. Same calories, totally different value. That's nutrient density in action. It's the quality of the calories, not just the quantity. Clara, you knew she'd show up, once told me that her whole view of food changed when she started looking at what her food was giving her instead of what it was costing her. She was tired of the yo-yo, of chasing locale everything. "I used to think 100-calorie snack packs were virtuous," she laughed. but I'd eat 4 of them and still be hungry. Once she started focusing on nutrient density, choosing options rich in fiber, protein, healthy fats, vitamins, her cravings calmed. Her energy stabilized. It's like my body finally exhaled, she said. And the science, oh, it's so supportive of this shift. Research published in journals like the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition consistently shows that people who eat a diet high in nutrient-dense foods, think fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, have lower rates of chronic disease, better weight stability, and improved mental health. Because your brain, it also eats what you eat. Matteo learned this the hard way. He was working long hours, eating takeout most nights, fast food that technically fit into his calorie goal. But he was tired all the time. Moody, bloated, he started tracking not just calories but nutrients. And wow, almost no fiber, barely any omega-3s, not enough magnesium. He shifted slowly, added leafy greens, swapped his afternoon pastry for a banana and peanut butter, added flax seeds to his smoothies. And guess what? Within a few weeks, his focus was sharper. His gut was happier, his anxiety calmer. Turns out nutrients matter more than macros, he said, and he's right. Because nutrient-dense foods communicate with your body. They support your hormones, your metabolism, your mood. They're not just fuel, they're function. And here's the thing, I'm not here to say never eat the cupcake. You can, you should if you love it. But what I am saying is, let's start asking better questions than how many calories. Let's ask, what am I feeding? What am I building? What does my body really need right now? When you start doing that, the label becomes your friend, not your judge. You're not trying to trick the system. You're trying to support your system. So the next time you turn that package around and check the calories, go one step further. Slide your eyes down to the protein, the fiber, the vitamins. Look at what's there for you. That's the real nourishment. That's the stuff that helps you show up in your life with energy, strength, and softness, all wrapped into one beautiful, balanced body. This is where the real story lives. The nutrition label gives you the stats, the ingredients give you the soul. They tell you not just what you're eating, but how close or far that food is from nature, and what kind of ride it's about to take your body on. Now, right at the top, the first thing to know is that ingredients are listed in descending order by weight. That means the first item is the one used in the greatest amount, and the last is the least. So when you flip that label and see sugar or refined flour right up top, that tells you something loud and clear, even if the front of the box says wholesome or natural. Let's talk about our dear Clara, bless her curious, ever-evolving heart. She once bought this healthy granola she was super excited about. The packaging was all craft paper and hand-lettered fonts. You know the type, looked earthy. Said all the right things, whole grain, gluten-free, lightly sweetened. But when she peeked at the ingredient list, first up, organic cane sugar. Then brown rice syrup, then sunflower oil. The oats were basically in fourth place, she laughed. That was her light bulb moment. Marketing may tell the story it wants you to hear. But ingredients, they tell the truth. One of the simplest ways to spot a food's quality is the simplicity of the list. The fewer ingredients, especially ones you recognize, the better. If the list looks like a short recipe, fantastic. If it reads like a chemistry textbook, maybe not your everyday go-to. There's a study from Public Health Nutrition that found a direct correlation between ultra-processed foods and poor dietary quality. The more complex and artificial the ingredient list, the more likely that food is to spike blood sugar, contain inflammatory oils, or be low in fiber and satiety. In other words, it might be easy to eat, but your body pays the price later in fatigue, cravings, or digestion issues. Matteo once shared his 5-second rule. If he reads an ingredient list and doesn't recognize more than 3 of the words, he puts it back. Not because he's aiming for perfection, but because he wants to fill his cart with foods that feel like an act of support, not sabotage. That simple filter has become his compass. It's like dadding, he told me once. If I can't pronounce their last name, I need to take a beat and figure out who I'm dealing with. Another thing the ingredients list reveals how much sneaky sugar, sodium, or oil is hiding. For example, a label might say 0 trans fat because the serving size is small enough to round down, but look at the ingredients. See partially hydrogenated oil in there, that's a trans fat. Is still present, still impacting your heart health. Same with sugar, manufacturers can list several types like maltodextrin, dextrose barley malt, cane crystals, so they don't appear high up individually, even though they add up. Reading the whole list helps you spot that trickery. And then there's the deeper layer, learning to spot allergens or sensitivities you personally want to avoid. Once you're label literate, you can catch gluten in disguise like vital wheat gluten, or dairy in unexpected places, casein, whey, or soy hiding in that natural flavor umbrella. It's like becoming fluent in a new language, a language that keeps your body feeling safe and steady. But here's what I love most about reading ingredients. It becomes a form of self-trust. You're not depending on packaging to tell you what's good. You're making that decision from your own intuition, supported by knowledge. That builds confidence. A confidence builds consistency. And consistency changes everything. So next time you're in the store, do your own little label ritual. Flip the package, read the ingredients out loud if you want. Ask yourself, would I cook with these things in my own kitchen? If yes, amazing. If not, maybe it's a sometimes food. Maybe you find a better option right next to it. The more you do it, the faster your brain learns. Your taste buds follow, and your whole relationship with food deepens from passive to powerful. Added sugars, the tiny troublemakers with the sweet disguise. This is where nutrition labels get sneaky, and where your awareness gets powerful. Because once you understand added sugars, what they are, how they're different from natural ones, why they show up in places you'd never expect, you stop being fooled by the shine and start making choices that actually support your body, not hijack it. So here's the real talk: sugar isn't the enemy. Your body needs glucose to function. It fuels your brain, your muscles, your cells. But added sugars, that's a whole other dance. These are the sugars that aren't naturally occurring in whole foods. They're the ones manufacturers sneak into products to enhance flavor, extend shelf life, or make things more palatable. Think high fructose corn syrup, cane sugar, brown rice syrup, agave nectar. They might sound fancy or natural, but your body processes them essentially the same, fast, furious, and not very kindly in large doses. I remember Clara, of course. She shows up right on time, who used to be the queen of healthy smoothies. She bought those pre-bottled green drinks thinking they were the holy grail of wellness. Then one day she flipped the label and saw it, 40 grams of sugar. That's more than a can of soda, she whispered in shock. And the wild part, most of it was added. That was her wake-up call. The green color didn't mean green light. Added sugars hide everywhere. In granola bars, in salad dressings, in pasta sauce, in bread. It's not just the cookies and sodas we expect. That's what makes checking that line on the label so crucial. It separates what's natural from what's been pumped in. Now here's the science part. The American Heart Association recommends limiting added sugar to about 25 grams per day for women and 36 grams for men. That's about 6 teaspoons or so. But the average adult consumes way more, sometimes double or triple, without knowing it. And that excess, it's linked to increased risk of heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, liver issues, even mood swings and brain fog. Because when your blood sugar spikes quickly from added sugar, it crashes just as fast, and your body ends up on this exhausting roller coaster of craving. Crash, fatigue, and craving again. Not fun, not sustainable. Mateo once did an experiment, 2 weeks tracking his added sugar intake, just as a curiosity project. He didn't change anything at first, just awareness. And what he found blew his mind. That protein bar he loved, 18 grams added sugar. The healthy cereal, 12 grams. The flavored yogurt, another 15 grams, it was piling up. He said, I wasn't eating chocolate all day, but somehow I was still drowning in sugar. Once he started making swaps, unsweetened yogurt with real fruit, sauces with no added sugar, choosing dark chocolate with lower sugar content, his energy smoothed out. He was less irritable. He even noticed his skin looked better, just from cutting back the extras. And that's the point. You don't have to eliminate sugar to live well. Life has cake, life has birthdays, life has lattes with syrup. What you can do is get wise to where the sugar isn't necessary, and once you've got that knowledge, you're in the driver's seat again. So next time you pick up a product, scan for that added sugars line. If it says 0 grams, beautiful. If it's more than 5 grams per serving, take a second look. Is there a lower sugar version? Could you make it at home? Do you actually want it, or is it just habit? The label isn't here to scold you. It's your compass, it's how you start nourishing yourself without confusion. And the more you do it, the more you'll feel the shift. Not in restriction, but in clarity. Sweet, vibrant, blood sugar balanced clarity. I thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and do all those lovely things you wonderful people do. I'll see you next time.